Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the school board will convene to close session tonight to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility under Wisconsin statutes 19.85 per N1 per NC. I guess we don't have any guests that signed to speak. I propose that we move item F under reports, the SRO report, up to this point in the meeting so that he can give us his report and then get on with his other business. If there's no objections, we'll ask Officer Hilsebeck to step forward and give us his report.
Okay, where would you like me to stand?
Or you can sit. Anywhere, or sit, whichever's comfortable for you.
So I was asked here tonight to give you kind of what's been going on in the last 3 months. 3 months since I started here as the SRO. Things have been going very well. I've gotten a lot of acceptance from the staff and the students. Part of my job is to gain the trust of the students and make them feel comfortable and come and talk to me in the event there's anything going on, anything bad's going to happen. And I think for the most part it's been working good. It's easier with the younger guys. The younger kids, they seem to like an officer. The older kids, it's a little harder, but I think I'm making some headway on that. Partially, I also check the security of the school and make sure the doors are locked. Usually 4 or 5 times a day, I walk around and check the exterior doors. Mainly this time of year, I stay inside, but make sure nobody's popping doors open. They went up to the car, so that's been good. Teachers have helped me with that. Also, I've been giving some of my findings or my observations and suggestions to Mr. Lukey, and he's been very receptive to everything I've brought up to him. I've already seen some changes that I like, and I know he's working on other things that's going to enhance the safety of the students in the school. He's also included me on the up-and-coming edition, getting my ideas as far as security, what I think would be good security for the school, including cameras and door locks and things of that nature. I guess that will probably settle down once everyone's done with the planning of the building, but I think he's pretty receptive to what I have to say to that, and I do appreciate you acting on that.
It's been a great addition because it's a different set of eyes. Not only is it a different set of eyes, but from a different lens. You know, he sees it from a security officer. He doesn't see it from a school person's. You know, because we're more trusting and we just think, oh yeah, we're school and we know so and so, and he looks at it as this is a situation and this is something we need to address. And we're getting a Raptor system that he did some research on in the last few months and stuff. And he can explain what that is too. But he's just picked a Raptor. It's a visitor manager. You give your ID when you come to school, and we're going to start that in January. And it's because he did the research on it and found out more about it and has done legwork on it.
So what the Raptor does is everybody that comes and checks into the school will have to bring their government-issued ID, whether it's a driver's license or an ID card. You can scan into the Raptor system, which is a visitor management system. That system will check the information, first name, last name, date of birth, against the National Sex Offender Registration Register. And if that person is on that register, they'll red flag it. And then administration and myself will come out to try to figure out if it's actually the person or if it's a near hit, we call it. I think we're going to try to get that going probably the first or second week back from winter break. I think it's going to be a great addition to the security of the school. And once we get the new addition going, I think we're going to get another one for the one that's going to be up there now will stay, and that becomes the district office. And we'll get another one for the high school office once up the back once that building's done. Again, to me, it's good to know that who we know is coming in and out of the school. We don't want some sexual predator in here and perhaps getting one of my kids. Another thing that I love from Mr. Lickey, and he agreed with me, is to change the way the front doors are situated now, as far as when the school is in session, all the doors are locked. The 3 side doors are locked. And if somebody wants to come in, as we all know, we come right in by the window by Missy, and we do our business there. And then she's got to open a door to let you into the school. My thinking was, you're already in, at that point you're already inside the school. So we put a intercom and a bell, doorbell for lack of a better term, and the outside door will be locked. So now when somebody wants to come into the school, they'll have to ring the bell, the camera will pop up by Missy and Amy, and they can see who it is before they even enter the school. If it's somebody that they don't think should be at the school, at that point they're going to contact me, and I'll go up there and deal with that person and find out what's going on.
When will that come?
That'll also take place at the same time as
Oh,
the
in the after the year.
Yep.
So once they are okay to come in, they know them, they know they should be there, they're gonna have to buzz that outside door. They'll come in like they do now, go through the second door, come to the window. We're in the process of getting a new window, correct? That's gonna have, it's called a deal tray. So basically it's gonna be all closed. It's kind of like, Great America or whatever, you just slide your ID there. And then they'll do the Raptor system, the visitor management system. Once they're good to go, the Raptor will print up a tag. Instead of the red tags that we have now, red stickers, it's going to have a picture. It's going to have the time and date you came in and your destination. She'll put that through there, and before she lets you into the school, make sure you have that on your outside clothing so it can be seen, and then she'll buzz you in. So we're actually on 2 doors that are being buzzed. Again, I think it's just better, that way we can keep control of who's coming in and out of the school. Again, like I said before, the way it is now, I feel like they're already in the school by the time they visit that security door. I think we all know that if somebody really wants to get in, they can get in anyway, but this is a bit of a deterrent. That is probably it'll slow them down and stop them altogether. Another thing I've been kind of doing is walking around with all the teachers. It's kind of become I don't want to say a little bit of a joke, but I kind of make it a little more entertaining, I guess, to make sure that their exterior door to the classroom, is always locked. The handle's always locked, it doesn't have to be closed. One thing I learned in some of my training that I went to, I believe it was Parkland, it was in Parkland a couple years ago. One of the teachers heard something, opened the door to look, and saw the man coming down the hallway. By the time she had that door closed and was trying to lock it, he was already in the door doing his deed. So my thinking is keep that handle locked at all times. If something happens, you just have to shut it. The time it's going to take when you're under stress, the adrenaline's pumping, find that keyhole, try to lock that key, lock that door is going to be, I would think, almost impossible. So I kind of walk around and check doors, and if it's not, I just give them a little, no or whatever. Hey, that door's not locked, if they lock it for me. And they've been very good about it. So sometimes they forget about it. Big problem I kind of have in the other part of the school, the door locks, sometimes they jiggle, it just comes unlocked. And that's all going to take care of in a few years. I think that's something we have to address now. If there was a big deal, I'm sure maybe they have some extra parts and maintenance or whatever. It's not all the time. I'm always checking. So, also, I'm ensuring everybody's wearing their manuals, making sure they're being identified as a employee here. The reason for me doing that, in my opinion, is I may not be here someday. I'm getting to know everybody. So I'm going to have if I have them sick or whatever, somebody's going to replace me, and I want them to know that this person belongs in this building. Another thing is if we did have a major incident here, whether it's fire or whatever, law enforcement comes to help out. If it's somebody off the road, they don't know the teachers. So depending on the situation, there may be challenged. But if they have the lanyard to see that, it's going to tell the road guys that they want. They're also going to check right they're not saying they're going to see that and just go on, but they're going to double check it. It's going to be a lot quicker than, well, is this person a threat? Or do I have to take it to the next level? That's about all.
Talk about the fourth grade program you're doing.
Oh, yeah. So what we're doing is called Core Matters Project, excuse me. So what that is with fourth grade, it's a 13-week course, I guess you'd say, where we meet in this room here and we talk about bullying and integrity. We're giving the kids the tools to be assertive, but yet respectful. We teach them some Taekwondo, not so much for, I mean, they can use it for protection, but it's more of just give them a little bit of discipline. They get a white belt when they start. They get explained how the origin of the black belt and the white belt through Taekwondo. We'll be wrapping that up on the 15th of January. And at that time, they will be getting promoted to the yellow belt. And they get a t-shirt. Seems to be working really well. This program actually replaces the DARE program, if you guys are familiar with that. So it's just going to teach them resilience, that they can say no. One of the things we're teaching them is body language, eye contact, and redirecting if someone is asking, a peer is asking to do something they shouldn't do. One of the examples we use with them is, hey, we want you to steal something from the store. Then they have to show us how they're going to react and how to get out of that situation and redirect the person you're with to the point where they're not angry at each other and kind of steal friends. It's a good program. I can see it working now. I'll be honest with you, the first 3 or 4 weeks I was like, I don't know if they're picking this up, but they are. They're picking it up. I think it's going to be a good program. And I know they're working on a second one. It's called Core Matters More, that we would be doing in, I believe it's 5th grade. But they're still working on that program, so that won't probably be in effect until maybe next year.
So is Officer Neville involved with this then, or is he
No.
being assigned?
He is. He still teaches DARE to St. John Bosco. He has actually been no longer a juvenile investigator. He is we call him a general investigator. He investigates all sorts of crimes. However, he is if we have questions, we can call him and he'll help us out with that. Us meaning the other 2 SROs. So he's kind of if we have a question, call him or answer him, I guess you say.
Mark, I think your having input into the building plan has been so helpful because you're here every day as opposed to a road officer who maybe has some training in that area, but he or she wouldn't be here on a regular basis. You can see things that need to be a part of that new building, and I think that's really critical because now's the time.
Thank you. It's gonna be an ongoing process. It's all every day. It's gonna, something's gonna jump out at me. Maybe I didn't catch before, but it's going good. I think it's going really good. Like I said, Mr. Lickey's very receptive to my ideas. And, I know some of my ideas are probably over the top, but that's due to my prior training.
That's good.
You
You
have
can
this
always,
thing really tight, like Fort Knox tight,
that's good. You can always wrench it
No,
back.
it's good, it's good, yeah.
I mentioned to Mark the other day, I was concerned about, I know we don't have a lot of space for him, but I was concerned after the Oshkosh incident and what happened to the SRO there. I said to Mark, I just wonder if there's something we can do. We can't move him, obviously, because there's probably no other place, but, I mean, to get stuck in that little room, if we could put a crisis button or something to protect him in the event something would happen, or he would be in that room with a student, becomes violent, there's no recourse. There's one door.
Yeah, there's one door that way.
So I don't
I know in the new office, and when I sat down, went over his furniture arrangement and the office arrangement and tweaked what they had from Bray and Myron and said, okay, we want it this way. Yeah, it's a flaw of that room right now.
Mark, do you have, when you're with a student, is the door open?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The problem that I see with that room right now, and I'm thankful you guys got me in this room. There is actually 2 doors in that room. One door goes into the library. The problem with that is, if I'm talking to a student, anybody in the library can hear what I'm saying. So what I've been doing is, Mr. Bear has been working with me on stuff, so we just go to his office because it's a little more secluded. I think that's going to change with the new building. I saw the plan, but I can't wait to wait. I know one input I had was originally only had 1 door, now there's 2. One coming in from the hallway. Part of my training, they had told us that if you have, the student has to go through the office past the principals and the secretaries to come and talk to me. They probably would be likely not to do that because they don't want people to know that they're talking. So now with this doorway in the hallway, they can just come in my office and we can talk. That's going to be an upgrade. I haven't really, I'd have to say, I think Sevastopol is a really good school. I haven't had too many issues with the students here where I had to actually bring them in for an interview or talk to them about our interview. And if I had to do that, I would not do that in my office, to be honest with you, just because of that reason. I don't want people in the library hearing what I'm saying. So either we do it in the conference room or in Mr. Bear's room or a different room. I know Mr. Licky and I worked on an incident at the beginning of the year that we worked right in his office in his conference room, so that worked out great, I thought. So.
Plus, if he had somebody in there and he got in trouble, I mean, he's got the gun, he's got the weapons, who's gonna come to rescue him? Kyle gonna?
I was sending emails to Mr. Bear.
That's my point.
I know.
Carl.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, Carl, you know Carl, you know.
Yeah, I know, it's tough, I mean.
Well, I mean, I mean, he's a little better equipped, hopefully. Don't turn your back, you know.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, but there's something to be thought about. I haven't
Yeah.
really distressed about it because you
Yeah.
know, you get a big, strong farmer, athlete, whoever, you know, and we aren't going to leave him in there.
Well, no,
Get somebody telling me that. So
But I wouldn't want to be the one coming to rescue him.
we won't call him, you know.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
We'll get a vest
He's
for
good.
Carl.
At that point, we're probably locking down and staying away, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility? I mean, like there's sound dampening material readily available. Would that even help or not? Like just for the door? I mean, I don't know how close it is, but you know, you can get that foam.
I think we go to the next building and
Yeah, you're-
he'll keep going to conference rooms or
Yep.
Mr. Bear's or my office and we'll keep going.
Sounds good.
We're doing more than we have and I don't see
I would agree that I think we're good right now.
Good.
you've never not interviewed a kid or talked to a kid because you couldn't find a spot for it.
No,
Right.
I would find something.
Yeah, perfect.
If I had to, I'd take him right down to, no, I'm just
Right to the car.
Nobody noticed that.
Well, thank you for your work.
Thank you. Any other
I'm glad
questions?
you're here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And I've had a lot of parents
Good
in the
night.
morning say, I'm glad he's here, you know, I'm glad the school addressed that, so that's worth something.
Under new business, we have presentation of the year-end audit for board information and approvals. Can we move that up to be the next agenda item? Would someone like to move?
I would move that up.
Is there a second to move that agenda item forward?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our auditor will have a chair if you'd like. And
Sure. Okay, so everyone should have a copy of the annual financial report and We do provide audit summary that we're going to spend a little time kind of going through the audit summary. So first thing to just make a comment, the audit report comes under a cover of Clifton Larson Allen. Last year it was under Shank. Same firm, we just joined forces with them on January 1st of 2019. So I just want to just make that comment. So we get into the bound document. The bound document, page 1, is really the most important part. It's really our independent audit report, where we indicate that the financial statements contained in this document are your financial statements that come directly from the financial records that you see on a monthly basis. Our responsibility is to express an opinion, which we do on the bottom of page 1. We indicate that in our opinion, these financials statements are materially correct, and we would make no modifications to the report you have in front of you. If we turn to page 4, page 5, and page 6 are what we call your program-wide financial statements. So it is not how you adopt your annual budget, but it really reflects what happened during the current year. It shows all your assets, it shows all your liabilities, and it shows your net position. So when you see 2019 versus 2018, a couple things that kind of jump out. When you look at your total assets are up by about 20 million there. That's primarily all the referendum driven, the bond proceeds and the capital assets that were driven off of the bond proceeds to date. Just basically started the project near the end of 2019 from the project perspective. But if you look at your assets, you have about 25 million, with about 20 million of that being in the capital project funds going forward. The other thing that does point out is if you look and you see a net pension asset, last year you had an asset. This year you see it is a value of 0. Then you go down a little bit, you see that you have a net pension liability. So this really isn't something that you could spend or something that you owe today. It's really your proportion of the Wisconsin retirement system. So GASB a couple of years ago, who set standards for governments, indicated they wanted to put these balances directly on the financial report. So ultimately what happens is the WRS is one of the best funded plans in any state. So people would be envious of even ever getting close to an asset in most of the states. So from the perspective, when you see fluctuations, it's primarily driven off of market. So 2018 market returns wasn't as good as 2017, or isn't going to be as good as 2018, or 2019. So fundamentally, that's the primary reason. Then when you look at your liabilities, you can see that the net pension also increased your liabilities, but primarily you look at the long-term obligations due within more than 1 year, and that's primarily the referendum-driven long-term debt that was issued. Then if you turn to pages 5 and 6, pages 5 and 6 kind of indicate how does your net position, what was the change in your net position. So in both years, you're showing the positive change in net position. What that indicates is you're paying down the long-term debt you had. It also indicates that you're reinvesting in the facilities. So when you see growth in your net position, that's a very positive statement on the district and your financial reserves that you have. Then starting on page 7 is your fund financials. So now we get into how you adopt your annual budget. So we will, I'll just kind of briefly walk through these financial statements, and then we'll go into the executive summary, and we can kind of walk through. But this is really broken down into major funds. So the district had 3 major funds this year. The general fund, which does include your special education fund 27, so both fund 10 and fund 27 are reported as part of the general fund. Your referendum debt service, primarily because of the refunding of the bond or the bond anticipation note in 2018. And then the capital project funds, here you see where you have about almost 20,500,000 really available for future projects going forward. Then if we turn to pages 10 and 11, just kind of what happened in the current year. Once again, you can see overall your fund balance has increased by 20.5 million. When you look at some of the changes here, you can see that most of that really revolved around the capital projects and the referendum debt project. Your general fund did go down by about 500,000, 450,000, but that was primarily transfers, reinvesting in the long-term capital trust fund that was set up. We put 500,000 into there. So when you look at your general fund coming down, that was primarily budgeted and also moved into a long-term capital improvement trust fund that you created. So from a financial perspective, all positive financial results in your fund financials. Any questions on the annual report before we get into the audit summary?
I've got one question.
Sure.
That was when I went through the audit. Back on page 7 and 8, the other governmental funds, what does that include?
That would include like your food service, your community service funds, and your capital trust.
Okay.
And if you wanted the detail, it is presented, starting on page 40 is the detail of the three funds that are included. Any other questions? So then we go into the staple document titled Audit Summary and Management Report. So here we present the financial information and I'll walk through the results of the audit. So if we turn to page 1, page 1 of the report is really just a high-level synopsis of what happened. What is the major things that we are reporting as part of the audit? We've already talked about the audit opinion. Obviously, that's important because your financial statements are go out to bond, go out to various different outside users. So when you look at that, like I said, we gave an unmodified opinion or a clean audit opinion. It means that we would make no modifications of the report. So best report you can receive on your financial statements. As part of our audit, we also look at internal controls. So the district receives both federal assistance passed through the state of Wisconsin and also state assistance. So you receive, later in the bond document, there's a schedule of expenditures on page 47. So you receive about $430,000 of federal dollars, and if you turn to the next page, about $1,100,000 of state dollars. So the state requires us as part of our audit to review those programs and review the controls over those programs, and also look at the internal controls overall over the district. So we do have two items that we report. First, related to the preparation of the annual financial report. When we prepare that, we are required to report that. We currently, as a firm, do about 110 public schools. I would say that's probably in about 90% of those school districts. So it's really saying that, because the financial statements are prepared by us, we're just assisting with that process. So it really isn't something that many communities can, or school districts really get too worried about. It's just, indicating that we're assisting with that. The second one there really deals with the size of the district and segregation. And oftentimes we get, why do we continue to report segregation of duties? It's primarily the role, to communicate to the board that your role is really to review what you receive from management of the district and kind of ask those questions. So we reported only to continue to reiterate that a lot of times in our audit, we're relying on board oversight as a key control that you're reviewing and asking the appropriate questions. So obviously, hiring more people isn't a good option because of the cost benefit side. But the district does a good job of segregating when you can, but just based on the size. Then the next two findings really relate specifically to the schedules of federal assistance and the federal awards. And ultimately the same thing as the last two. It's just those two are specifically related to the federal and state programs. If you jump down to the next part, the compliance, this is a key part. So as part of our audit, we not only look at the financial statements we just walked through, but we also look at compliance with laws and regulations, your levies and various budgets, etc. And we also look at the federal and state programs. So we're pleased to indicate that the results of our audit did not disclose any non-compliance that we are required to report. So once again, that's a reflective of the management here at the district managing the resources and following the appropriate controls over those compliance areas. Okay. And then if we turn to page 2, and I'm just going to go through these kind of briefly, because page 2 through page 5 are what we call a governance letter. This is a communication directly to the board, where if you go through these various things, we are required to communicate very specifically if there are any problems as part of our audit, if we had any difficulties in completing the audit, if we had any significant areas where there's estimates that we're concerned about those estimates. If you read through page 5, you would see that the audit from our perspective went very well. We had no concerns with respect to any type of governance issues. It's important to realize that as part of our audit, we do spend a lot of time with the members here of the district, employees of the district. The district was prepared as we came in, and we certainly appreciate that as part of the audit. And then if we turn to 6 and 7, this is really the internal controls, and as I indicated earlier, we talked about the internal controls in the summary, but it's just if you turn to page 7 and you're saying, okay, what is the preparation of the financial report? That's detailed on page 7. If we're talking about segregation of duties, it's detailed on page 7 too. So it's the same things that we talked about earlier, but it just adds a little bit of additional details related to that. Any questions on either of those letters? So pretty good report from the standpoint on our reports.
I will say, as far as the segregation of duties, every year that I've been here, we've had, like you said, the same thing comes up because of our size. We segregate as much as we can, but with only 2 people in the office, there's only so much you can do. And they understand that. They're just putting it in there saying this is what we've seen and this is what has come up, but there's not a lot we can do about it with our size. So
We'll see this on the report forever.
forever, right?
Yep.
It's just who we are. It's okay.
And like I said, people wonder why we keep it on. It's just more of a awareness by the board and understanding that. So, and then Appendix A really looks at your financial results. It kind of breaks it down into 2-year sequence. So you can see if you look at 2019 versus 2018, it just gives you your fund balance. What's important with fund balance is it really reflects a point in time, what's your currently available assets to expend. So if you look at your fund balances, clearly your general fund continues to be in a very strong position. So right now your general fund unassigned is about 5.5 million. Last year it was about 5.9, but if you kind of go down into that long-term capital, you took a 500,000 of your fund balance and put it away for long-term capital improvements of the district. So even though your general fund went down, it wasn't like you expended it, you actually put it away for the future resources and needs of the district related to capital improvements. The other part is a little bit different, and we touched on it, is the capital projects. You have about 20 million as you started the referendum building projects this summer. So when you look at your general fund continues to be strong. Generally, school districts, 20 to 25% is really what you need from a cash flow perspective. You're over that, which means that you don't have to short-term borrow. You have sufficient cash flow throughout the year. It gives you flexibility as you manage your operations going forward. Any questions on that? And then page 9 through page 11 is just new standards that are effective. So GASB, who sets standards for governments, has been very active. So if you go through here, the standards that will be effective, the two first were effective this year, didn't have a significant impact on the district. Then GASB 84 and 87. 87 probably doesn't have much of an impact on leases, but 84 really is going to react to how your Fund 60 is going to look, your agency fund. So GASB is making some modifications to how you report activities within the agency fund. So many districts are now looking at how we're presenting Fund 60, and there will be slight changes as you see future reports related to that. And with that, I'll entertain any questions on anything related to the audit, the executive summary, or any other questions you may have. Well, we certainly appreciate working with the district, and certainly if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
We will, thank you. There's a lot to read here.
There is a lot. Yes, there is a lot.
Thank you for making the trip up to brief us on this.
Happy holidays.
All right, we will move on then. Are there any items on the consent agenda someone would like removed? There are no donations, so the consent agenda then is approved by consent. Our administrators are not here. They are at the concert, as they should be, and we have their reports. We'll move to the superintendent's report.
I don't have much more than what you're going to have in the committee reports and such, so we're okay. Yeah.
I don't have anything, so we'll move to committee reports or planning.
We met 3 times in December, and it was another long meeting. We went through room by room today. We did cabinetry, furniture. Well, furniture was last week. It was more cabinetry and just the outlay. We went around the outside of the building, inside. I don't know. It was.
First, I think we have a good architectural and construction firm. They seem on top of things. They seem open to discussion about different items. Mr. Lukey and Rock have spent significant time around the building looking at furniture and cabinetry and what we can take over, what we can't take over, what needs are in various classrooms. So today, as other weeks, you had some areas that we could cut, take things out of.
Yeah, the biggest discussion was, I can't remember which meeting it was, the first one or the second one of this month, the elevator. Was that 2 times?
Oh, that was last week.
2 times. That was 2 times going on last week too. Wasn't today.
That's right, it was 3.
It was last week, and it came up the week
Last
before that. Yeah, so it was
today.
2. It was the first 2. Go ahead, tell them about the elevator.
Well, they were going to, we've got this elevator over here, which will stay and go up. They were going, where the back of the gym, and there's that stairs in the hallway, and then the old band area up by the stage, that's where they were going to put a new elevator. Take that stairway out, level that whole band stage area. That was going to be the place for the elevator at a cost of around $400,000. And it became an item of, well, they were going to spend $400,000 on that. Mr. Lukey had the idea of moving the elevator into the new building, into a conference room area.
Well, first Dave had the idea of putting the mechanical room, but you can't go up. You can go up, it goes into a classroom, so that didn't work. So I thought, well, let's move over to the conference room, because there's 2 conference rooms. I thought they were one on top of the other, but they're off like this, so you ran in another classroom, so they were gonna reconfigure the one special ed room, but then there's a conference room in the K-12 office as you first come in, and you can put an elevator there, and it goes up to a the science back storage room, and they could lose some square footage there for an elevator shaft there. The conference room in the K-12 office is cut down to about a third or 40% or something, so that's a better place for it. And that option's about $100,000 compared to the $400,000 option in the 1965 part of the building. Additionally, 20 years from now, if people are looking at what to do with the 1965 section of the building, if that would ever go, that elevator is gone, and then you don't have one right at the entrance of the new school, which would be here for 75 years. So that was a better move. So it took a lot to get there, but yeah, it's interesting.
So good.
So you're putting in
400,000,
one elevator or two?
No, there's also a second elevator all the way. If you come in the new entrance off on Rip Road, you would go around the office and down the main hallway all the way to where the new addition touches the 91 section of the building. Because the 91 elevation, that addition is a half a flight higher than the elevation of the 1965 cafeteria. See, our 1965 has 4 levels. It's got the cafeteria, the first floor, the gym, the second floor. But the cafeteria level is going to be the base floor for the new addition. But then when you go to 91, by the time you go that many yards over, it goes up, I don't know, half a flight of stairs. So it's an oddity.
So it's an elevator that goes up half a flight of stairs?
It's going to go up and stop there, and then it's going to go up the second floor as well. Because you have to have
They have
ADA
to.
compliant to get to
I'm
both.
sure.
We talked about having a ramp going from the new addition to the 91 addition, but that ramp would be forever long, and you'd be 60, 70 feet that way, because you have to have the right slope, the grade of a ramp for ADA compliant. Yeah, it's been, and the elevator went into the drawing in March by the backside of the stairwell there, and then a couple weeks ago we said, well, they came up with $400,000, and we said, well, that's too much, and so then we started really working on where it could get moved to, because the current elevator was going to be abandoned until March. That was going to be gone.
This one over here?
It was going to be in.
I mean, because that isn't a
Before
great
March.
elevator either. I mean,
It's not a great
It's an elevator, but,
Right, it's not a great one, no.
I mean, there's no like bars in there or anything. I mean, it's like,
No, it's not a great elevator.
No.
No.
It's terrible.
That's
Well,
an
that's why,
A.
I mean, that's why I think an elevator right at the entrance of the.
Entranceway, yes.
Is critical, and I think it's good it worked in, and
So-
there's some budget chewing and work, but,
Mhm.
you know, I commend the group that are always there, because I'm not, but they're fighting the budget too, and that's important, and I think they're reducing where necessary, so I think that's very important, that people should know that things are looking good, but we still gotta make some hard decisions.
And now the next steps are January, the items will go out to bid. The bids will be received mid-February. So today we received the progress drawings that are 98% done, complete. So we had 90% 2 weeks ago, and now we got 98% plans. So
In the 98, did they have the elevator in?
yes, with an alternate bid for the one in the 1965 section. That's an alternate bid item. Jenny, what are alternate bid items?
Some of the outside, the
The
exterior.
1965 gym has the new addition next to it on the east side, and on the west side, 1924 south wall is the wall that supports the 1998 second floor addition on the 1965 part. So when that comes off, they got to put another wall there to support that. So if you look at it from the north, you're looking at the building, you'll see 2021 building, 1965 gym, 2021 new addition. So it'll be, and then they're going to blend it together.
Mike, the on-site construction person, and I guess Andre from Myron, they don't want too many alternate bid items, because then you don't get, they said you don't get really good bids from the vendors, because they look at it and say, well, they might do this, they might not do it. So that's not to say there aren't some items that are just straight bid that we might not pull out later when the bids come back. you might pull out, there's some ceiling work, wood ceilings in certain areas versus tile. That's something that's could be a little bit costly that might get pulled out later. That'll just stay in the bid. So they recommended avoiding too many alternate bids.
Well, one of the discussion that I heard is we want to make sure what our estimates are is that we're in the budget area.
Right.
And I want to make sure that is the case, because if we are estimating over the budget, then, okay, good. I mean, because
Yeah, if you start
I don't
over,
care
you're
if it's
end
easier
up
or not.
over if
We
you're
need to have a
under.
solid
Right.
bid within budget, and then if something's coming low and we have extra budget, then the alternative bids work. So I think, I think it's different. Some of the concern was you do all these alternate bids because you're over budget, you're trying to save money, but it's not necessarily where we're at, right? Alternate bids are things that might be a neat idea or addition that would be value added if there's budget available.
If there's budget available.
So I think that was one of the concerns. We're over budget, it's a problem. We're not, that's our planning stage.
Right.
So that's why I'm like,
The at budget, according to the on-site manager, allows them to get a quick start to the project. If we're over budget and they've got to figure something out, that slows them, their start up. So, and then we get to break ground the end of March, 3 months away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Taylor's long meeting, last week I argued about the elevator was.
And Mr. Lukey's been meeting with little groups of teachers that are
middle school
affected
teachers in today.
to talk about their rooms and.
Earlier this week, so yeah, I try to meet with a small group, talk about furnishings and about their space. The moving, well, we'll talk about it when we get the calendar, but yeah, the moving in, because we start abating on June 7th of 21, so we gotta get the kids out of here, and then we cannot occupy this 1924 or 46 section after June 7th, because that's when they start abating the hazardous materials, and it means every item that we're gonna take with us or take out of this building has gotta get out, and we got a lot of stuff in this building. I don't know how to measure it all quite, Yeah.
Has someone other than you yet, but I mean, have we designated maybe someone on Rock's team to start slowly putting together an actual plan? I mean, a task day to day, that second floor is going Wednesday. I mean, we probably need to get that orchestrated.
We're not
We're
quite
bringing
there yet, but
football
Dan
teams.
Petrini just got here
Yeah, oh yeah,
Monday, he
good.
just started Monday.
And
So,
we're
yeah,
early. I'm just-
right, yeah, no, we're gonna, and we're not talking this summer, we're talking summer of 21,
Right,
so
yeah.
I started planting seeds with the groups when I meet with them. You won't be able to move in, like the middle school, I told them, you can't move into the 4K and kindergarten wing until those teachers go in the new addition, and then they readjust the bathrooms there and do their construction, then you can move in, you can't just jump in. And those that are going on second floor 1965 part, they're gonna go down to the old science rooms. Well, that's great, science can go to the new addition, but they can't go down there until those rooms are renovated, so they're in a holding pattern. And then when they go down, the other middle school teachers that are taking over those 3 classrooms can't go in until that happens. So it's yeah, I'm laying the seed work that, oh yeah, this is how it's going. So people are asking, well, how's this happen? Well, there you go, because you think I'm going from room A to room B. It's not that simple, because whoever's in room B has got to move out first, but they're waiting for something first before that too, so it's a domino effect.
And you have to, I might propose, and I'm not doing the work, but some war room or big massive chart that everybody knows that, all right, 4th grade, you gotta get out, 5th grade, you come in after, and this is a year down the road, and then who's the lead chief facilitator of that, just so that if someone forgets, or something goes wrong and they're not getting it done, hey, everybody, we gotta help accomplish this area. I don't know how you do that, is up to you, but some type of a documented schedule when we get there, I'm sure that's in your plans. I just
That's
want to
kind
add.
of, yeah, that's big picture at this
Long
point. Yeah,
time,
exactly.
a year yet.
Yeah, one of the teachers said, she said, I don't understand what the big deal is. And I said, well, everyone in the building's moving except for 7 people. She said, oh, really? She's only 7 are staying in the same spot. And I said, well, yeah, and I listed out who the 7 were. She went, oh, I thought it was just our area. It's like, no, it's a shift for a lot of folks.
Basically that one hallway off the main entrance, those people aren't moving really.
From from Dave Phillips's room to Leclerc, those folks aren't, except for Nick Young, he's moving. Right, yeah. Pretty much everyone's moving except for those seven, and they can help the others, yeah.
But the fact that you're talking about it now, that's great.
Yeah. And it's been interesting because since we do this every week, I forget that some of those groups haven't seen the pictures yet, you know. I got them laying in the teacher's workroom, but yeah, who's gonna look at the 60% plans and, you know, then they don't understand them anyways and they flip them, they don't, where am I orientated, you know, so that's been interesting, so, yeah.
So it's good. There's no questions on that, we'll move to communications meeting.
We met this past Monday, we're meeting again on December 13th. This past Monday, we hashed out in greater detail the next edition of the Pioneer Times. The next meeting, we'll probably not do as much on that and work on other areas. It's just always a work in progress. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Can we talk about e-signature?
Oh, Cindy Anschutz is working on getting a consistent e-signature on everybody's email so that it's kind of follows up with the style book and branding. So everybody's going to have, you know, their name, their email, maybe their extension, their phone number, their position. Everybody's going to have a similar signature on all of their emails just to continue. Sue Anschutz is working on that.
You said
You said
Cindy.
Cindy.
Cindy Anschutz, that's right, Sue Anschutz is working on that.
We did last meeting talk about the phones, that there would be a night message or a vacation message. I don't know if our system allows that or not.
I don't know.
If someone calls
Steven reminded me more when we meet at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
if someone calls the office and we're closed for Christmas vacation, there should be a message that says the office is closed until January 3rd. Or in the summer, when our office is closed on Friday and they call, it should say, our office is closed on Friday, we reopen on Monday, so
And it's that you reach the school district.
you've reached the elementary office, you've reached this district office, who you've reached. Because a name to an outside caller without a department doesn't mean a whole lot to people. So I guess we'll work on that. Justin Skiba had kind of a cool idea, I don't know if you let it out of the box or not, but that we do a special edition, maybe just a 4-page, paying homage to the old school building in the summer of '21. With old pictures, interviews.
Pretty talented.
That's very cool.
Nothing else on that. The budget report?
We have Mike Clark waiting on the phone. His car broke down today. So,
Mr. Clark had car trouble, had to turn around and go back.
Oh,
Milwaukee, he was at Fond du Lac.
trouble in Fond du Lac?
Well, this vehicle said that he had 200 miles before his vehicle would shut down.
Hi, this is Mike.
hi Mike, Kyle, how you doing?
Good.
You're on speakerphone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for accommodating the call.
Glad you're in a safe place,
That.
not broken down on the road.
You just want me to kind of walk through things, or?
I'm just handing out the paper right now.
Okay, the 50s of page you're getting, is one kind of a tentative timeline for the next phase of the financing. And then the other one is the financing plan that we're looking at this point, which is a little bit different, but better than what we had originally planned on during the referendum process. The original financing plan had 3 phases to it. Just trying to, kind of blend in the tax impact over a 3-year period. But we did so well on the first borrowing, and interest rates have held about the same levels they were in the spring of 19. They kind of crept up in the summer, they're going to come back down a little bit this fall again. And so we're planning final phase of the financing, the remaining $5.1 million for a February 20th sale. I believe that's your scheduled board meeting. And the bonds would close then in March, and this phase they would be called promissory notes because they only go out 10 years. So we're paying all the debt back within 20 years, and originally we were looking to pay the debt back over a 22-year period, so we're cutting 2 years of payments out and saving a significant amount of interest. So if you're looking at it says phase 2 notes preliminary, it's a more colorful page that is if you've got color copies, if you got black and white.
We went all out, Mike, yeah.
So, well, if you look at that sheet, if you look at the far right-hand side, it shows your levies, your previous year's levies for the energy efficiency exemption and Fund 39, because both of those debts are outside the red limit, so that's how you group them together. And you can see that in 2019-20, the district levied a little over $2 million for both the Fund 39 debt and energy exemption, $2,081,000, which is a little bit higher than what we originally projected, but because the district's overall tax rate was very favorable, allowed the district to levy a little bit more, which helped us get to the point where we only have the promissory note and the shorter debt issuance for the second phase. Because the referendum projection was $1.20, and we could have easily met that, but the decision to levy a little bit extra, and I believe your tax rate still dropped a bit to help savings in the long run was a good idea. And then after that, it drops to the 1.77 million. Kind of, is everybody seeing that? And then it's at that level for about 9 years. And then it drops to 1.6. The reason we have that drop in there in 2021, I guess there's a couple reasons. One, we don't know exactly what will happen with your valuation and your overall levy. And the second is the district will be looking at reviewing its operating question here, possibly November of 20. And to have that flexibility to kind of set next year's levy at the same time, we'd be asking the voters to renew the operating question. Because remember, that was just for 2 years, the last time was approved. Kind of gives you some flexibility to set the levy. So if you get to next fall, your levy looks good, you can always levy extra dollars again as you did this year in the Fund 39. And then we would have the choice of really, the best choice would be to prepay some of the $18.89 million issue, because that's your longer issue, more savings, more interest savings could be achieved by prepaying that. Or if your overall levy, if it doesn't accommodate extra levy, and the 1.7 makes sense, then you can just stay at that level. This gives you that flexibility. And then the following year, most likely in 21-22, is when the new operating question, if the voters would approve it, and if the district, I guess, chooses to ask the voters to approve, which seems likely, if you do have an increase over the amount that you currently have in place, if you want to add a couple $100,000 to that amount, we have space to kind of keep the levy flat. So that's the thought behind the step. This gives you the flexibility. The district always has the option to levy more if it chooses, as it did this year. But if for some reason valuations or some other factors aren't as favorable, you're not locked into a higher levy. So the net result will be shorter repayment, saving $3 or $4 million in interest costs compared to the original financing plan. So really a very favorable result in terms of the financing of the referendum. The timeline, again, is tentative. We'll start preparing documents in January, the official statements, working with Disclosure Council and Bond Council. And then we would schedule a rating call early February, get the rating in place by February 12th at the latest, and then we would take bids on February 20th, the day of your board meeting, and we present the results to the board at the beginning of the 20th for your approval. And the district would receive the funds for use for expenditures in that first week of March. Any questions, thoughts? Like I said, interest rates are holding very well. There is a general feeling that later in 2020, there's a feeling rates will move higher. And whether that happens or not, who knows? But typically early in the calendar year, January, February, is a good time to sell. The bond market is typically fairly strong. Bond funds and things, retirement funds collect funds over the December, January time frame, and then put them back to work generally in January, February. So the timing from that standpoint we like as well.
Anybody have questions on that for Mike? No? Okay, then, if there's nothing else, do we have another sheet to look at? This other,
No, it's
No.
these two.
The two
This
is
is fun, yeah, that's all we have.
that's all we have.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay,
Appreciate it. Happy holidays.
have a great Christmas.
You too.
They can sit off. Yep.
Did you have anything to report on facilities?
We're having a little problem with our water pressure, and so over break, what is it? There's a pump that talks to a,
Variables,
there you go.
there's a controller that drives a variable frequency drive, so it drives the pump as needed to maintain a constant pressure. And that control head is 1980s vintage, I think, and I think a few years ago the pump was replaced, but the control head was not. And so now they're finding problems with the newer pump, which is, the newer pump is a little different performance factor, and that's just how industry goes. So that old control head is driving that pump in a way that's overheating the pump. So I think the findings from the guys, the maintenance crew was they're probably gonna have to replace that control head. And so I think they're moving forward to do that.
They're doing that over Christmas break when no one's in the building. We'll be without water for a minimum of 4 hours, might be a whole day. If someone's got activity in the school, they'll let them know ahead of time that we can have it. You're just not gonna have bathrooms and drinking fountains for that window of time. And then
Water test then, right?
no, because it doesn't affect the flow. It's just
Pressure
the
won't
control.
change.
It's outside the system. It's not within the water. No, so we're okay. And then on the 26th of December, they're going to do the small abatement of the asbestos in the small old science storage room between the two science and rooms in 1965. The building still can be occupied because the way they seal it off, they will air test it the next day, but it seems like it's a very small minor project for them. That was about it. Yeah, that's two big things we got, so, yeah.
Is that item in the area that wasn't gonna be changing anyway, so I mean, it's not like we're spending money on something that would have been replaced come the new.
What are we
Well,
talking
Which one are you
they're
talking
using
about?
that area for the new electrical
No,
entrance.
I'm talking about the pump and the pressure.
That's on the old well.
We need to
and
keep
so
the pump running.
we have to do
Right,
it
no,
to,
I hear you.
So,
yeah, no, we're getting 2 brand new wells at the new building. So
But that
yes,
well's not going away though.
It's just well, it's being discontinued.
It's being abandoned.
It's being abandoned, yes. So
There was a discussion
We
about
couldn't limit-
minimizing the repair cost, and
Right.
just gotta get a few more
we
years on
couldn't
it.
limit to
And-
21.
That's understandable.
Right,
So that was a good question, and
yeah,
it was talked about, but the school needs water.
Yeah.
right. Kind of like our kiln exhaust wasn't working correctly. We said, okay, we're not gonna use the kiln until we get the new building. And we've been taking ourselves through, but it wasn't an option with the water.
Right.
Water's too vital, so. Yeah, as we talked about it, we said, okay, well, how much is this and can we limit? No, you can't limit that far.
Is it worth, maybe it's worth saying is, with your comment, it's just spurred the comment that now that we know that what part of the school is sticking around and we're gonna have it for a long time, now that they're starting to better look at the rest of the existing building that is remaining, and then if they find anything to start looking at. So I think it's a good thing to recognizing that, hey, we know what part of the school is going away, and if there's part of the schools that's staying, now they're, we're starting to take more attention to that, does anything need to be repaired, so I think that's a good process that everyone's reviewing.
Did you have anything that wasn't in your report that you need to report?
No, I
Or
didn't.
report, Sue?
I did not.
I have a question for Sue though. Sue, I just wondered about that whole initiative around supporting children with dyslexia. And they're looking at, and DPI was and CISA looking at a dyslexia specialist. Would that person serve like a consultant to Sevastopol and all the schools?
Right, through CISA 7.
Okay. Why the sudden energy around dyslexia?
There's been a lot of pressure from parents
Okay.
on the legislature to do something about this. And I know Melissa has had a lot of concern in that area as well, and has been looking for guidance at the state level, as have other schools.
So will this be a regionalized person then?
By CISA.
By CISA?
That's what it is now, whether it remains that or not,
Okay.
hard to say, but that's the way it's set up at this point.
But it looks like we're going to end up having to do some policy development locally
Right,
to support the work.
Right.
To supporting children with dyslexia.
right.
And we'll just rely on CISA to guide us as to
Yes.
what that policy
Right.
would look like? Okay.
And also Neola.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on then. We have the second reading of some policies that we had previously to read, we looked at last month, and now we will do a second reading for final approval of the policies. So I'll look for a motion on the first one, 5710.
Move to approve second reading of policy 5710, student complaints.
Second.
I didn't pick this up last month, I just picked it up this month. On some of these policies, where it says the Board of Education, and on this one, of Education is crossed out. On others, it's not crossed out. Is there a rhyme or reason behind that, or is that just a...
Neola is moving towards just calling it a board.
Yeah.
Okay, but some of them continue with some of these continue with Board of Education. They're not all
I think they're
corrected.
trying to get them all consistent as just board.
But some of these changes don't have the board, it's
Yeah,
got the Board of
that may be.
Education. So I don't know if I didn't know if it was for some rhyme or reason, or just they missed some of them.
That could be.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 6830.
Make a motion to approve the second reading of policy 6830 audit.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Policy 7300.
Move to approve second reading of policy 7300, disposition of real property.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 7310.
Move to approve policy 7310, second reading of disposition of surplus property.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 7434.
Make a motion to approve second reading of policy 7434, use of tobacco on school premises.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 7455.
Move to approve policy 7455, second reading, accounting system for fixed assets.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 7540.
Move to approve policy second reading of policy 7540.01, technology privacy.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Policy 8210. School calendar.
Move
Is
to
there a
approve
motion?
policy, second reading of policy 8210, school calendar.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 8330.
Make a motion to approve second reading of policy 8330, student records.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 8660.
Move,
Go ahead.
move to approve second reading of policy 8660, transportation by private vehicle.
Second?
Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Policy 9600.
Move to approve second reading policy 9600, staff student participation in community events.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have the second reading of the new policy, number 6630.
Move to approve second reading new policy 6630, cash handling and deposits.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, further study of staff survey. As we discussed last night, a survey, a monkey survey, was sent out to staff shortly after our last meeting. I got questions from one person. There were about 5 questions. The great thing about the monkey survey is it's really easy and it's free. The bad thing is we can't get the data back like we do for school perceptions, where we get everything. So Mr. Lutke and I met and went through the 5 questions and looked for, and then whatever comments there were, looked for commonality in certain areas. There were questions on there about meet and confer, and maybe we should hold those until we get to the next item, meet and confer parameters. Generally, as far as communication in general, I apologize, I forgot my numbers at home. I think 29 people said the board should improve its communication. 21 said, no, you're doing fine. There were 50 respondents, which I think is really good, a really good number, a really large number. So they're kind of split. And I think most of the comments revolved around wanting to know more about topics that affect them. And I can understand that. You know, when we sit down and read these policies, they're long. So they don't want to sit down and read all the policies. They just want a shortcut and tell us what's going on. So one area that Mr. Lutke and I thought we could improve, see how it goes, is so they know what's coming up. The agendas get posted, but if you don't look for the posting, you don't know. So when Jean sends that agenda out to the media list, to the blast list, she'll send it to the district also. Then all the teachers are getting the agenda, and they can look what's on there, they can look to see what items might affect them, and they can get to someone with questions or come to the meeting to discuss that. That was one recommendation we had. The other, they want to know more, they want the minutes more quickly. Well, we can't publish the minutes until they've been approved at the next meeting. And it's really hard to do, and we can't put comments in the minutes because you can't capture the whole discussion with comments.
But the video is uploaded.
The video is up.
They know that. They want to have a faster, they want the minutes as fast as possible with comments on the discussion. But you don't put the comments in discussion, it's not minutes. And so
No,
it's-
minutes is just.
Minutes are minutes, right, right.
Text
And
is
they
the
don't,
commentary.
they find it time consuming to watch the video. So we thought after the meeting, Jean will send the
Approved minutes.
approved
They
minutes
can't
out.
have the minutes until they're approved,
They
so they're
can't
gonna
have
have
the
to
minutes
wait
until they're
till the
approved.
board goes to the
So
next meeting.
tomorrow, Jean would send the minutes that we approved tonight. Going forward, when they get, if they get the agenda, they'll have the agenda, they'll know it was on the agenda, and if it's really of interest to them, they'll get somebody to talk about it, or they'll come to the meeting, or they'll watch the video, and then they'll get the minutes the month later.
Some wanted the agenda 2 weeks before the meeting. Well,
Yeah.
we did it.
We don't even get it 2 weeks before the meeting.
You can't have-
And if you had it 2 weeks before the meeting, you'd have to add something. all the
Exactly,
time.
we keep amending it, so that doesn't work,
Yeah.
so, yeah. And some of them are confused on what agendas are and minutes are, and they're even when their responses, they didn't have the right terms.
Yeah,
So
Carl, start putting
we'll send out
comments.
the agenda like we do to the board, we'll send them an agenda, and we can send them the minutes that are approved minutes the day after the board meeting, but that's a month late, but that's about as fast as you can do it, because that's when they become approved minutes. You can't give them approved minutes until they're approved.
And some did comment, they found the Mr. Lukey's Friday flyer beneficial, so maybe if there's something that we think should cause special notice in the Friday flyer, Mr. Lukey can include that for a quicker update, so.
Well, yeah, I guess. That's the one question is, I would follow up with is, looking at how you got the admin team communicates to your current staff. And is there a way that if there was a topic that is important to the high school staff, does the high school principal put out, hey, at the board last night, it was approved that, high school, blah, blah, blah. And that would be a question of, because, at times we talk about this chain of command, well, that chain of command helps with the communication. So personally, some of my follow-up questions to dig into how to fix it would be is, how does that, what's between the staff and the school board is the admin team. How is the admin team doing communication to and from the school board? So I don't, I'm respecting everyone's time, just like our time, right? Just to sit down, right?
So for example, we have the course description book tonight. I would assume Mr. Barrett, his next update to the staff would say, hey, it was approved at the December meeting.
Well, that's what we're recommending. Maybe does he do that now, or would that be after?
Him and Mr. Hiltz every week send out all
That's
their
what I
staff.
kind of thought, and so,
But
So
when
that's
they
good,
say-
I didn't know that, so that's.
The hard part is when they say something that concerns them, but I'm not sure what it is. What item are you talking about? It may be different for one person from another person. And I thought, okay, do we do bullet points after a board meeting? Well, that's kind of what the minutes are that get approved. And how would you hit the one that they want? I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe a policy like personal days might be of interest to staff. How personal days are allowed, that might be of interest to them. So if they get the agenda and they see a policy like that on there, they can look to see what the policy says and then inquire what change are you looking at.
Anytime there's a change in the handbook, we do send it out and email to everybody and say, here it is, so,
Well,
you know, so it's hard to
The only
figure
thing I
out
would bring
exactly.
too, that in fairness to this discussion, so some people like it, this, all of the world is struggling, the push versus pull, right? Everyone, us included, want to just sit there and not have to do anything and all the information appears in front of you. Right? And sometimes you gotta go and you gotta go look at the data and you gotta read and you gotta find out. And so this is the challenge we're kind of saying is, there's lots of ways they can get the information, we're not holding it from them. I'm good to hear that the admin team, I just had NASDAQ before, so the admin team is kind of saying, hey, you know, this got approved at the board last night, it matters to you. Well, okay, that helps. So then, you know, maybe we'll keep noodling out what good ideas are.
And if it matters to them, that's why they're getting the agenda in that email, so that they can see what's coming up that might matter to them, not the after the fact, here's what, tell them, yeah, this was approved, but now you have to take the responsibility to go and read that policy to see if it's really important to you. To your point, it's not just, we can't just put it in front of everybody, we all have to take a little responsibility.
I mean, it's good, as an example, you know, we could hire a person or have a staff member rotate in here and summarize it in their own words to the staff. Well, who has time to do that?
Well,
And we're not gonna
there
hire
are districts where they assign teachers to show up. The administration doesn't, but the union does. And they say, you better go to the next board meeting, and then you got January, you got February, and then they take the minutes, and then they post it in the teacher's lounge, and, yeah.
Right, because
And that's, I know, because I was in that system.
right. So I'm just saying that,
As a teacher,
I
you
mean,
were
sometimes
assigned
when you
by the
ask for
staff,
stuff, we're
right?
like,
Right.
come sit right in that blue chair, you're welcome to do that. You'll know everything there. So, but, I mean, I get everyone's busy and reports and coaching and all this stuff, so.
Well, there's 12 meetings a year, and there's how many staff members, right? So if each took 1 year, it would be so bad.
Hey, we get sweet, stupid.
So this is important, we appreciate, so it's
Maybe that's
important.
an incentive.
We appreciate the 50 people that responded,
Yeah.
and we want to, you know,
Yeah, we're gonna
start
take-
making
we're gonna do two
some
different
efforts
things.
forward, so we're gonna try this and see if it improves.
Yeah, we take 2 steps, it's
Well, I
great.
like
Anybody
that
have
we
any other
exercise
ideas,
this
or-
tool too, so this is something we can use, low cost, just to get some general guidance checks or feedback or whatever. That's
And
good.
Stephen, how long the average survey take?
We guessed 3 minutes, and that was the average, is like 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Right, so it wasn't
Let's
too
give them
tight.
kudos for responding to the survey,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, that's awesome.
So anybody have other ideas,
Good ideas.
maybe then I guess we need a motion to, say we're gonna send the agenda in the minutes?
No, it's just in your practice. we're gonna
Okay.
do
Do
it.
it.
That was the easy one. Meet and confer is a little meatier. There were a couple of questions on the agenda regarding meet and confer. Have you been to meet and confer? A lot of no's, a lot of, I'm too busy. Other things are going on at that time, I coach, etc. There were quite a few, I thought only one person from each department could come. So while we thought maybe we had it out there that we want everybody, anybody can come, there was at least, I think, 12 responses
But the highest response was, I'm satisfied, so I'm not going. That was the highest one. The next highest was, I'm too busy. The third one was, I thought I had enough going for me, I don't have to go. Right. So those were the 3 highest.
Where'd that skeleton come from? Or, I mean, is that just?
Well, wait, can I pick
Yeah.
the words apart? What you just said is I interpreted it differently. What you just said is, someone is going and representing me, so I don't have to go.
That's what about 10, 11 people of the 50
If that's
said.
nobody has to go. This is an opportunity. So if they're saying those words, well, if they don't want to go, they don't want to go.
No, they're saying I thought only one person could go.
Okay, that's different.
We got 50
Well, you say
responses.
right there. If
No.
one response was, I didn't think I could go, versus somebody else is representing me.
But that was kind of the same ballpark. That's
So I
about the
think
same
there's a
10.
difference. If I think I couldn't go, we gotta fix that.
There
So
was
that's
some,
what I'm saying.
of
Maybe
those
I'm
10 or
splitting
11
words
that
that
said
should
that, there was some that said, I thought someone was going and I couldn't go. Others thought I was
Couldn't
representing.
go, I got it, okay.
Right.
All right,
Yeah, like they weren't allowed,
yeah,
right?
that we wanna fix, yeah.
The top 2 reasons were too busy and I'm satisfied.
Because this goes back to, the first time I got on, is when we started meeting for, at least my time, you know, we were pushing that to everybody, is how I remembered it, so.
Well, I put in my Friday flyer, it's coming, it's next week, you're all welcome to come.
Well, this, which just confirms actually what we thought, right? There's a cultural education we all have, and in this environment in the school, that's very common practice, you know? You get a representative that speaks for you, and you voice your concerns and move on, so we just have to keep helping.
So I don't know that we really got any direction out of that, but we do have a meet and confer scheduled in January, and we need to establish how that's going to occur. Do we want to go with the status quo where someone can send a staff concern form or email Mr. Lukey and say, this is what we want on the agenda. We send a couple of board members, Mr. Lukey, and that's what it is. We could change that and just have board members there, not an administrative representative. That would create the more direct conversation between school board and the staff. But the thing we have to bear in mind is we've got those policies, the communication to staff and between staff and board, that it goes, that we follow the chain of command. So are we going to change our policies in regard to that chain of command type matter?
If we do it without administration, then it would become more or less a listening session versus a conversation.
Well, why couldn't we talk? I'm just asking. Well, what wouldn't happen there, it's not a formal board meeting. No policies can be changed or voted on. There would be a dialogue and discussion, and people would be speaking for their experience on the board. Wouldn't be a full board position. If you said something at the meeting, you're entitled to say that. It might not be a board position, but you're helping each of us communicate our perspectives out to them as board members. So, I mean, I'm trying to look for the downside. What's the downside? I'm not sure. I kind of like the admin team because you guys have a lot of knowledge and stuff to help with it. But maybe that is a neat idea. Maybe to open up the staff a little bit. Because my point is, whatever's said in that meeting isn't going to, the next day the school operation doesn't change.
The downside of that is, and I'm stuck on this, the downside of that is concerns shouldn't be coming straight to the school board. They should be going to their supervisor, their supervisor. If there's no resolution there, they should go to the superintendent, and if there's no resolution there, then maybe they come to meet and confirm the school board meeting. That's the downside.
Well, once you open the gate,
Well,
I don't think it's our responsibility to hear, I mean, we have a administrative team in place, and that's, I think, their job, right? I mean, we set policy, that's our job, right? I mean,
right.
And approve the budget and all those other fine things. The day-to-day, we can't wear jeans on Friday. I'm upset about that. Okay, well, talk to Mr. Lukey. I mean, I'm just using that as an example, but I mean, we're not here to fix, I'm not happy with.
The school calendar's on the agenda today.
School calendar.
I gave the whole staff A and B, as you saw on my Friday flyer. I got a couple of people that grumbled and said, well, they don't like the way the in-services are lined up. Okay, no one's here to address the board tonight to say, oh, it's a really terrible
I've heard
2 options.
concerns about it too.
Yeah.
so here's a comment, and I'm not, me on this fun stuff, but hear me out. We don't know what all their concerns are. Now we're just trying to help. Like what you said is a very good example. If they came up and said jeans, my answer would be, I don't care about the dress code, talk to your admin team, not my issue. If they ask about a budget issue, we can say, well, we can go into the whole long thing about we get a school budget and there's only so much money and we gotta make sure we pay our staff and everything. So my point is, sometimes just hearing it from us, it's actually not that, is it really the admin team just telling us this, or is it really is it DPI in Wisconsin laying it down here that the school board executes and the admin team's hands are tied that way? I mean, that's where I'm like, okay, so
I mean, that's fine if it's just, listening, hearing.
Because my point is, in these things, go back to the chain of command, you don't change the chain of command in this meeting. You just talk. It's like, okay, to be when you walk into the bathroom and you run across to your boss's boss, once in a while you can talk. Hey, what's going on? What are we doing here? Did that job come in? Yeah. But, you know, that's all it is. And he'll say what he or she wants to say, and that's it, right? So that's why I'm saying, you know, we may not say, well, I'm gonna go tell the admin team to do this. That's not how we
Well,
do it.
maybe the way to accomplish that is, the matter has to come in on a staff concern form. And that staff concern form is looked at, and have you talked to your supervisor? Have you talked to the superintendent? And if you haven't done that, that has to happen before it can come to meet and confer.
Well, the only thing I'll say as an example is, look what we just did with Mr. Hillsbeck. We're changing a building and doors because some people, and just bear with me, but this may apply. People don't want to walk through that office. They'll go talk to the officer. But they'll go in and counsel with them just on privacy of nobody knows. So maybe they don't know, and maybe they're not comfortable talking to the admin team. But if they want to talk to the school board, now, at the end of the day, we'll get right back to what you said. They would ask us, and we can counsel with them, because not only are we board members, we're human beings with life experiences. Sometimes it might be mentoring. You say, yeah, I hear your frustration, that sucks a little bit. But, you know, in this case, you go talk to your principal, make your case. Maybe we can help them make their case. Make their case, I mean, in words, in understanding. Because we all give a very diverse background, actually. That's kind of neat. Because that's what mentoring is. So, well, maybe part of this is just mentoring to understand how the school works. And I'm not saying or pushing hard for it. I'm just saying there's a way to make this work without changing our policy or chain of command. If we get surprised by an issue, we're all grown professionals. Say, all right, well, okay, that surprises us a little bit, but we'll look into that. And there might be a, you know, hey, Kyle, or Adam, or whoever, this is maybe, we should sniff around, check this out. You know, is there something legitimate to this, or is it not? I think that's okay. And I think that's healthy in an organization. You know, I agree. If we think we're going to have a meet and confer, we're going to go run out and call the press and do something crazy like that, well, that's a bad idea. But I'm trying to get my hands around this floodgate, right? Because I might be naive to it. That's what I'm trying to, what would that be? I mean, they bring something to us, and you're right. I mean, I don't care what clothes you're wearing, and I'm going to support the admin team for setting the dress code. We ain't going to change that. But thank you very much, you know. Right. So, I don't know. And we're busy too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we did that for a while, pretty soon they're going to realize that chain of command matters. If they really have an issue, they should put on their professional wisdom and go to their boss and bring it up, right? I think just some people just, you know, we have a very experienced staff, like every organization, and maybe that would help some of the younger people realize that that's really how it works, you know. So, but maybe not. I'm done.
All right, so setting an agenda for meet and confer. If we're going to have meet and confer, setting an agenda, do we allow it to be kind of loose so that anything can come up, or do we require the staff concern form come in and be approved for agenda, and that's the topic? Those are the topics. That's two. So is it more loose, open agenda,
Or is it
or
someplace
is it?
in between those two? I don't know what that
Well,
is.
just to save the time, I went off on the loosey-goosey last time, and I think I lost that argument, so that isn't the option, right? I mean, to be fair, I mean, that's where I was at, but I recognize in a school environment, with the rules, Robert's Rules of Orders and open rules, maybe that's not the right answer. And that's okay for me, so. And I'm only one, there's 70, so years, whatever.
Well, it's a board committee, so you have to have an agenda of some sort.
Right.
So how do you pick that agenda?
I like the idea of having something on the agenda that just allows for walk-ons.
Guest
I mean,
well,
could we
you could
have
do
like
guest
our-
comments,
our-
we do comment section.
Our agenda that we have for our board meetings, we have guest comments. I mean, if there's representation, or if somebody fills out the card, that it's, you know, Karen's concerned that she can't run meetings on Friday, or whatever it is, and I'm just, that's the only thing I heard.
I know it's wild, I know that's
It's fun.
And, you know, but yet, you know, maybe Dave doesn't have an issue with that, but he just wants to voice his opinion on, you know, how great something is, or how something is,
Well,
you know, like, just have that open, you know, and stick to an agenda, but have an opportunity if somebody wants to make a comment or just
And
air
just
their
like when we have got
frustration.
comments, they get to speak, that doesn't mean there's an exchange, but there again, at least it's brought to.
It doesn't always have to be a negative thing.
Right,
That's why I'm
exactly.
saying how great something was.
Right.
I mean, boy, that concert I just saw was outstanding, and thank you to the band and choir teachers that they, you know, or recognition or whatever it is, you know, just.
And let's not forget that we have a small percentage of people who still don't quite get what meet and confer is, the rules behind meet and confer and chain of command. I mean, I know it's a small number, but it pollutes the process if we don't, if not everybody understands what it is. Maybe people would be inclined to come to meet and confer if they now have permission.
Which they did before. I mean, he put it in the
I
Friday
know we
flyer.
did, but we still have a small, we still have a group of people, teachers who are confused about that. And so I think the more we say it and spell it out and.
I think what I recall is we emphasize more of the agenda items and stick to the agendas. I think there's a slight change from what I recall on Keith's comments is, let's emphasize the guest comments a little bit more.
Sure.
We highly recommend writing up your issues so we understand it better, so we can be prepared for it and stuff. But, you know, you still can have the guest comments if we chose to go that route. Isn't that, because that's what I thought before, it was always.
And then if it's something really important, you can have it on the next agenda.
And then you bring it up the next time. And
Right.
have it on, or consult with administration, have you talked about this? And they can give you a background of, yeah, we've talked about this, and this is why it's a bad idea, or why we feel it's a bad idea.
And the message then is that we're ears, you know, we're here to listen. I think that's your point, Dave, is we just want, we want to promote the message that school board is interested in hearing what it is you have to say.
I think so. I honestly like the way I think the admin team is running. I think all of them have open door policies. They all are welcome to come in. Now, how much people do that, that's an individual basis. And I agree with you. That was kind of the intent of the comments.
So, agenda items for me to confer. Is the process still a concern form is sent to Mr. Ludke?
We need a vehicle to develop an agenda. It seems to make sense.
Build your agenda.
I think that's a good
And
idea.
you have the guest comments at the beginning.
Yeah, just like we do in this. We have an agenda set from what comes in.
And you could, maybe that's a caveat, to put in an agenda, but if something to you is very important, and you didn't get the agenda in, you can come in on the guest comments and, you know, see what happens. And like some of those other meetings we had a while back, like you said, we got very quickly, no one came. So we would go to these meetings and we'd come early, remember, and
Nobody came.
nobody came. So we're like, so then, that was prior to.
So,
And that was for anybody.
there's this, when a concern comes, I think we need to know who it's coming from. To have somebody come and say, well, I represent a group. What group do you represent? How many people do you represent? Are 2 people asking about this, or are 15 people asking about this? How do we
Well,
deal with
in
that?
most cases, I would agree with that. I think people should, you know, I used to always say, I need a social security number. So if you're telling me there's an issue, I need to know, an organization, as a team, we're a team. Or even on a football team coach, when I coach, if they come up and say there's this big problem on the team, well, I can't fix it unless you tell me, what number was it? Who's doing it? Okay, and then we go, okay, let's not do that, that's not nice, right? Because none of us can do anything if they're just gonna come and toss out a complaint and say, there's a lot of concern out there. Well, really, who?
Can they put that on the form?
Yeah, I think so, or in the discussion, I think, what's wrong, I mean,
On the form right now, they're supposed to sign their own name.
Yeah.
You have a concern, you take ownership of
Take
it,
ownership.
Yeah, right, it shouldn't be anonymous all the time.
or have a rep for you, so then you don't know who it really is, or how many. I think that's hard to take. You know, if you really got a big concern, you gotta step up
I
and do
think
it, right?
we're an organization that's trying, I believe, trying to do well by our staff, but we also require our staff to be a professional, and if they have a concern, put their name on it. So I guess I'm just repeating what you said, and I think, yeah, you know, we're a small group, actually, of staff members. If someone has a concern, they should have the confidence and their position on our staff to say, hey, I feel this way for this reason. You know, we would respect their input. I'm not saying the answer would be what they would like, but they'll get from any one of us, we'll get a legitimate, thought-through answer to the best of our ability, you know.
So Lisa, are you asking that multiple people would sign the same concern form then, so you know that there's more than one person?
That's what I'm asking. You know, if someone comes, I represent a group. Well, is that group 2 people or 6 people?
They say that on the form that they represent a group?
No, they said it in the.
No, on our last meeting, I'm here representing so-and-so. So
I'm representing a group.
Challenge.
in my comment,
I'm representing the middle school. How many of the middle school teachers? Who are you including in middle school?
I think that's
You
fair.
know?
Because if they came in and every middle school teacher was in there, we get a different discussion than if there was 2. And it's only my 2 concerns, because then we're like, well, yeah, your grade, you know, you don't get the new, I don't know, whatever, you know, whatever, so.
You don't get a relief.
Now, for what it's worth, I would say the form is good with a single individual. But in our discussion, I think it would be very fair if when they say, hey, I'm here representing, you know, everybody, okay, great, who, what departments, what it is, because there might even be a trend there, because if it's everybody in this one hallway, maybe the heater went out and it's a cold, all right, okay, that sounds good. Everyone in this hallway agrees, all right, we'll check it out.
But they gotta tell you who they're talking
They
about.
have to give us who you are, yeah.
Because this concern is there might be somebody who'd be like, that wasn't my issue, and all of a
But
sudden.
if they said all the bus drivers, and then one bus driver said,
Well,
wait, it's not me, right?
No, and unfortunately you get that. Because if you go in there and say, hey, everyone's on my side, well then, because you're just trying to sell your case, right? So we're gonna say, all right, who's everybody? We're gonna eventually talk to them all. Because I mean, if we're gonna go spend money, because that's where we come in, right? If we're gonna change policy or spend resources or ask resources to be spent, we should do that due diligence. We're gonna talk to everybody and say, oh yeah, the heater's out in the west wing, we gotta fix it, you know, as an example. Or something like that.
And then do we want to continue to have Mr. Lutke or an administrative representative at the meeting?
I think so.
Yeah.
So,
You want me president?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think you should.
I was okay not going, because if that opens up communications between,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine, as long as you bring it back to me later.
Here's
You know,
what
I mean, it's 6-1.
For
that doesn't-
discussion, here's what I'll say. I like our admin team present because for me personally, you bring a lot of school knowledge that I don't have. And staff knowledge and even our handbook policy, unfortunately, that I don't have all fully part. However, I can see an aspect where if the administrators are there, would they speak their mind? I don't know. I don't know.
When I
I'm asking,
taught-
don't know how people think about school board.
When
members
I
versus
taught,
admin team. I don't.
If my principal or superintendent walked in the room, I taught maybe a little different than if they weren't in the room. I just got a little tighter, a little,
Yeah.
tucked my shirt in a little bit and stood up straight and, you know, it's just the way that it is. And I've walked in enough classrooms to know that that occurs. The kitchen's the same thing. I walk in there in the morning and they are a little more brisk. It's just, you're not the same when the boss is there, when the boss isn't there. That's just, I mean, that's I don't know where I've been that hasn't. The factory, every job I've had, well, the boss isn't there, it's different. So, I mean, I'm okay if I sit out of that meeting and you have some good, honest discussion and it helps the communication. It's better I'm there for my expertise, fine too. Because I'm pretty quick at solving problems, you know.
You're on site, right?
What?
well, it just depends on who you schedule it for.
Yeah, I usually am, yeah.
Because I just look at it as, okay, then after the meeting, then we have to go back to the administrative.
Yeah, that's the downfall.
We don't know about this.
Right,
or
it's
this.
a-
Get back to them.
Right.
You lose something in the translation.
Right.
I think you should be there.
It's fine, whatever way you guys want to do it, it's okay, just tell me what I'm doing.
Okay, then Mr.
Administration.
Lutke or his assigned designee is there. Okay, so we'll allow for our comment section on the agenda. The items for agenda still need to come forward on the concern form. If an item comes to us, I want to wear jeans on Friday, and they won't let me, our answer is, have you talked to your supervisor?
Well, then we'll have to figure it out. what
Those
everybody's
things.
experience is, what it is, you know.
If we do want to know who a representative group is, and we're going to ask the administrator to be there.
You got all that, Carl?
I haven't heard a motion yet.
Well, But she's coming, so get your pen ready.
All right. So you want the...
Does someone want a motion or you want me to cut? You want me to create the motion for you?
Create the
Yeah,
motion.
you have the.
Okay, it will be that the board hold, meet and confer sessions
Quarterly.
on a quarterly basis, that the agenda will have a period of comment, guest comments. Items for formal agenda must come forward on the concern form and be submitted to the superintendent for consideration. And that the superintendent or his designee will attend the meet and confer sessions.
And the concern form has to be filled out completely. So you have the signature and all that, right?
Come,
Properly filled out.
Properly on.
does that recap what we want to do?
And make a motion to do what you just said.
Second.
Other questions or
One of
discussion?
our best motions yet.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
As stated, presented, whatever.
Then we would probably want to
Carol has
schedule,
a question.
The fourth point is, how did the appropriate admin team member will be there, or an admin team member will be there?
superintendent or his
Superintendent
designee.
or
Or his
designee.
representative, designated representative will be there.
Might be you.
Hey, they've dumped a lot of stuff.
What's your Navy term for not your pay level? What do you
My
say?
pay
Above
grade.
my pay
That's
grade.
right.
Above my
That's
pay grade.
That's what he says, yes.
Saturday night, whatever, oh, the party.
Yeah.
So then we would have a meet and confer in January.
Party.
And we'd
Felt like it for a
schedule
while.
We said we'd have 2 board members there, and they rotate, right?
a date.
Rotate by last.
And I think if a board member can go, they should just
Oh,
go to
absolutely.
listen, because
More
the
is-
conversation, there's a lot that comes out, that came out in the conversation.
So did you set the date for it? or
No,
what?
we're gonna do that right now.
When are you available, Jay?
Yeah, I might as well enjoy that yet. Is this after school or what?
It's right after school.
Typically,
3:20.
yeah, that's the easiest time
Probably
for
that.
some staff. It's not convenient for lunch personnel
So,
and bus drivers.
So tomorrow's the last day of school, so, and then they come back in January. So probably that second week in January is too early. They need time to get their concern forms in. So maybe sometime the week of the 13th of January. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know what your schedule looks like.
Monday is the
Communication.
communications. We don't know if, well, Thursday's the board meeting, so we probably want it the 14th or 15th. Maybe the
14th is a Tuesday?
Mhm.
Tuesday,
Probably works for
14th.
me.
I can do it too. 14th or 15th.
So Jay, Keith,
I could,
and,
depend on one.
okay,
January
Jay,
14th
Keith, and Karen?
or 15th?
I'm gonna be in Arizona. Warm.
You're gonna be in
Oh.
Just for the day, yeah.
We'll call,
Just for
we'll
the
call.
day. Yeah,
So
you can
Jay-
call that. We'll call, you can go on the.
Yeah, we got-
call.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So,
There for one, they would travel.
3:30?
3:30 on the 14th.
the 14th.
3:30 on the 14th.
Okay, and
Okay.
since these minutes won't be approved until after that, I will still show them the guidelines for what it is, so. right?
3:30. Okay. Great, I lost my agenda.
So let's,
Then we will move on to the high school course description booklet, item B under new business.
Move to approve the high school course description booklet for 2020-2021.
Second.
Do you have anything in that you wanted to highlight,
No.
Mr. Lukey?
no.
No, all right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Carl?
No, it was not an action item.
Okay.
We've got the school district calendar for 2021.
I have options A and B. By January 1st, I'm supposed to let DPI know if we want to have a start date before August, before September 1st. Both these calendars have us getting the students out by the 21st of May, and that should give us enough time before they abate this building. Other changes in it, I have 2 in-service days built in May for packing up classrooms and such, like we discussed earlier with the changing of moves. Some people have more than 2 days worth of work at that time, others won't have 2 days worth of work at that time because they won't be able to move. So I had some people say, well, we don't need 4 in-service days in August, typically we've had 3. I added a 4th one then because of the last meeting confirmed when I heard from the staff they didn't have enough time to do their job. So that was a way I could add some time for them to do their, before the year starts, activities. Some said, well, we could use 3 there and 3 in May, but I don't know because how much packing you can do. And this spring, we're going to tell staff to start purging the rooms of their personal items and furnishings that they brought in from home and such, because we've got to start emptying this building. So this is my recommendation. That was the only thing I heard from staff was they'd like to see it 3 and 3. But I heard too many people say they didn't have enough time in August with everything that needs to be done. So graduation would be the 16th of May, because after the 21st we want to get packing up, we don't want to have the stage and all that kind of stuff as well. Our custodian's going to be really busy, so I don't want that late for them to get out of here as well. And
People
then,
will love it and want it every year.
well, and then in the next year, in the fall of 21, we won't start until September 7th, so that'll be as late as it's ever been. So, yeah. The reason I like B better as well is because if you look at Easter is April 4th, and with the in-service on the 31st, the band and choir music department is up for their usual trip they take, and they could leave March 26th after school and only miss the 29th and 30th of March if the 31st was in-service day. They miss 2 days of school, they still could be gone a whole week if they wanted to. So that kind of helps the music department out. And there's 5 built-in snow days in this one.
You want us to pick one of these?
I like option B, but if you want option B, go ahead.
I move we approve 2021 calendar option B.
Second.
Further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we'll look for a motion to approve the resignation of Andrew Mauer.
Move to approve the resignation of Andrew Mauer.
I'll second that.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. For a motion to approve the resignation of Nicolo Baldarota.
I'll move to approve the resignation of Nicolo Baldarota.
Second. Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we have the resolutions proposed by Wisconsin Association of School Boards. Did anyone have comments or questions on those?
I think most of them are pretty straightforward. A lot of them I think would be helpful to us. Certainly the Blue Ribbon Commission, anything there would be helpful, as would the English learner resolution. I know Melissa Margraf has been very interested in that. The dyslexia one is another one that Melissa has been interested in. That's 2006. The 2008 social and emotional learning is an important one, as is 2009, the mental health categorical aid. 2010, not of particular interest to us. This will be an extremely controversial resolution, and there will be a lot of discussion that day on it. Already people are talking a lot
Is that
about
the
that.
Native American mascots? I was going to comment on that one. I realize we don't want to be derogatory or discriminative, but I think this resolution belongs in the hands of school districts and communities. I do not think the state and the Wisconsin Association of School Boards should get involved in it. It's a cultural matter that's within communities. And if you command the relinquishment of these, what's the next one? I don't like the Spartan because he's got a spear. I don't like the Viking because I think it's a local concern, not something that should be dictated out of the state.
The WASB is not dictating this. Remember, it's a member-driven organization, and the Wausau District is the one that came forward with this. They had a lot of support. There's also a lot of support on the other side. But the way this will be decided is not by WASB, but by the member districts who participate in the delegate assembly. So every district will have the opportunity to vote on it. It's not being dictated by WASB. It's being driven by the member districts.
Okay.
The 420.
Understood. But
so however that vote comes out is what will be the direction to the legislative staff at WASB. But it is strictly member driven. And there are very, very strong emotions on both sides of this, extremely. Well, we saw it with the Packer game, with the Redskins, and the concern that was expressed at that game. And again, it's on both sides. I mean, it's a divided issue, just like so much in our country is right now.
And it should be local, it's cultural, and it's local.
No, I was just going to say, so by approving these, are we bound, if there's a decision that comes out of that delegate group, or that is something we need to abide by, because we are participation?
Well, they then lobby the state.
Right.
Then they lobby the
Okay, so if somebody
the
else.
lobbyists lobby the
Like,
legislature.
We don't need necessarily change based off of what comes out of there, I mean.
It gives direction to the legislative staff of WASB.
And they go lobby the
And they
legislators
lobby
for,
Okay.
so then
Understood, I just
So
wanted to
the
make
point
sure.
is, are we gonna move to approve, support these?
Sue goes to vote on each one of these items in January. So when we get to item 20-10, which way are you telling her to represent
Right.
Sevastopol, along with each and every of the other ones? Otherwise, if you give Sue the authority, she's going to go in that room and vote with her best knowledge of the situation and with her call at the
So
end.
where that
You
goes to-
authorize her to
The
do
reason I
that.
asked that is,
Yeah.
our earlier discussion, when you say it's got a lot of support, well, what is that support? Well, now they would list school district of Sevastopol as in support.
No, they're not going to
No.
this district. Other districts have made motions, such as Green Bay. Green Bay made a motion to support this initiative based on Wausau.
Let's pick a less volatile one. Any one of these, when you go and represent, because you're a voted in representative, when you go to these things, now, I do recognize in the past, not too much is going anywhere, where you go to all these things, they go to legislature. Legislature hasn't rolled too many in, right? But have they?
Oh, yeah.
So but when you're signing, at the end of the day, when you're there voting, you are representing the school district of Sevastopol.
Right.
So what I said is still valid, is all these cases or situations, resolutions, will be school districts attached to them. Because if there's a good one, hey, let's all get more money, every school district is on board with that one, right? And then, so that's, well, just so I'm clear on it, so I mean, maybe we don't support something that is like that.
Yeah, and if this board decides that they don't want to support this, you need to tell me that. You need to take official action to tell me that.
So since we have a board meeting prior to this next speech, prior to the convention, should we come back then with each of our standings on each item?
All 17 of them?
Could do that.
And then majority.
Just because as we know, this one particular one is very passionate, but we can't cherry pick one out of the 17 to voice our opinions on. We should pick, also, we should go through all 17, would be my opinion. Just a thought.
The other one I comment on is the student equity statements. The way I read that one,
Which number?
2017. The way I read that, it says, to require their member and/or participating school districts to sign and commit to enforcing a student equity statement that enables and ensures all students can participate in welcoming, respectful environments where hate speech, I lost it now, or other
actions.
Where that's coming from is some of the sporting events where there have been some very negative statements, particularly toward some of the black athletes.
That again, I think, is not a place where the state can step in and require districts to sign on to something. That's local and cultural, and each district needs to manage that within their own house. Because we have so many mandates from the state and so many, you have to do this, you have to do that. Now they're going to say you have to sign this equity statement. Well, how do you interpret the equity statement, and why, there may be...
The school signs it?
Yeah, the school has to sign on to it. That's the way I read it.
Because how is it different than the WIA? Before every single sporting event, WIA statement is made about that exact issue. So, I mean, it's a problem, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure a legislative action is going to change it. So I'm with the wife, and what are we signing up for? How do we do it?
Yeah, what are we, you're signing up to ensure that they participate in a welcoming, respectful environment where hate and speech, other actions are motivated by discriminatory intent. Who's gonna monitor? Who's gonna monitor
And then are we gonna lie?
what's welcoming and what's not welcoming?
Right. Well, how do you police that? I mean,
There you go. How do you police it?
What would we be expected to do? What endless amount of money are we supposed to spend, Get a police officer in every row in bleachers? I mean, okay, that's an extreme thing, but,
So those were the two that I had a comment on. So maybe, as Karen said, we should come back to the next meeting and vote individually on each of these, or make a decision tonight. We'll put it back on the agenda for next time.
I can just say what the motion was made last year, and I have it here, is motion to approve having school delegate vote on WSB resolutions with the district's best interest in mind.
we've
And that's what we
done that
always
for
do.
many years. We've done that for
And
many
that's
years.
what you did, that's what you've done. I mean, if you want to do each and individual one, that's up to you, but that's what we've done in the past.
But to Sue's point, now, is a lot of these do influence the legislature, and so I think we need to do the due diligence to make, we may end up saying go vote that way, but maybe a couple of them are important, and we'll say these.
So the document you're reading off of, is that's that other piece that you sent
This
in that
is the
separate
final
email
piece,
that you
yeah.
sent
Yeah,
us?
this is
Easier
the
to
one.
read.
That was the
Reading that
initial
other
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
because there's more in that than this, so.
Yeah.
This is the final piece.
Okay. So when we're reading, that's what you would prefer.
Right.
Okay, we'll put that back on the agenda for next month. If there are certain ones that people want to talk about, we'll talk about them and motion on those, and the rest will go for best interest. Okay, the board self-evaluation. Do we want to get this, that's the form that we complete, the school perceptions? Do we want to do the board self-evaluation and talk about ourselves before we start Mr. Leakey's evaluation process?
Yes.
So then we should get that done and for January, so we can, we'll be a month late on his process, but it's okay, right?
Are you gonna send that out to us then again, or do we?
Yeah, I'll get the code
Okay.
and I'll resend the code, and maybe if we can get that done before the next board
Give us a
meeting.
reminder then.
We'll get it done before the next board meeting, then they can
You're
send
talking
us
school perceptions?
the school
section?
perceptions,
School board section.
the school board says.
And were you looking at the overall one too, or just?
No, this is not this.
Like our self-evaluation.
This is not this. This
Oh, you
is
have
the
the
other
SAP
tool.
one.
This is the other, oh yeah.
Which
Well,
one are you
it's
talking?
Wisconsin Association of School Boards, but I think it's monitored by school perceptions. It's where we talk about ourselves and the job.
Self-evaluation of our
Yes.
our board, right?
Yeah.
We do that every year.
So I'll get the code, I'll send the code, I'll give you a date so we can get it done before the next school board meeting, and then we can put it on closed session next school board. We can talk about, we get that done, and then we'll roll into superintendent evaluation in February. Sound okay?
That's great.
All right. That will conclude our regular business for the night, and I'll take a motion to convene to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call. Cindy?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you very much. And we call back to order at 9:48 PM. I'll look for a motion on the fifth grade teacher.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I would
Ladies first.
move to approve the hiring of Mark Harrell for the fifth grade teacher.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Eighth grade girls basketball coach.
Make a motion to approve Chris Radley as the 8th grade girls basketball coach.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our school board meeting, next school board meeting is January 16th. So if we have no other notes for the meeting, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried at 9:49 PM.